This art, which has been preserved and practiced for centuries, can be seen on many major landmarks of the country. Notably, the Pietra Dura work in the Lahore Fort's Sheesh Mahal. These stone products take days to complete and require immense precision and skill from the craftsmen. The final products are perfect for souvenirs, gifts and decoration pieces, each depicting the richness of Pakistani culture at its best. Camel skin and ivory craft are trademarks of Multan's handicraft repertoire. Camel skin is cleaned, dried and mounted onto molds which can be of any shape desired. Multicolored lacquer painting is then used to ornament the molds, which in the end bear a Mughal or Persian feel. Ivory is crafted into pens, chess sets, jewelry and other accessories such as keychains by the expert craftsmen. Such detailed work, while being extravagant, is indeed a feat to achieve, and craftsmen of Multan produce beauty with their work which is worthy of global admiration. The enchanting arts and crafts of Pakistan.
assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen, ishpata.
Bakhair agale, ni hao, chune shumme, washmale, ohaya gunzaimas, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabiyam, bhalli kare aayan. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTV World. You're definitely watching World this morning alongside your very two favorite people, which one of them happens to be Shiza Hashmi and the other one is Shahzad Hasan Khan. It's a very fine Friday morning over here in Islamabad, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is ready to kickstart their day with us. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
Thank you for asking. I'm doing absolutely great. Jummah Mubarak, everyone. Jummah Mubarak to you
Yeah,
too.
Mubarak
Please
to
make
you
sure
too.
to remember, thank you. Make sure to remember us all in your prayers, especially today. And when I always say, well, here's the thing, I always
What?
say this on Fridays, and I
Yeah.
feel like, although, of course, whenever you do pray, whatever day or time you choose, it is going to get to Allah Ta'ala, inshallah. But on Friday, I feel like there's a certain, the
Connection.
spirit is different.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
spirit
yeah.
is definitely different. I feel like, for sure, whatever I ask for today, I will be blessed with it.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I believe that, okay, you know, even if you're thinking like this on a Friday, that's wonderful, but you should think like this anyways
day.
as
That's
well.
true.
You know, that's wonderful as well. But for me, you know, Fridays are like mini Eid. And it's because of the fact that on Eid, you know, everybody's going to get together and whatnot. So on Friday, you have a number of people who you're actually going to go and see while you're going to perform your Friday prayers as well. So, you know, you're witnessing because, you know, when I go to my mosque, I get to meet Umar Gul quite a lot as well. You know, he's one of my dear friends. And then, you know, there are a lot of other friends which you do not come across throughout the week because of being from different walks of life.
Right.
But it's definitely a healthy one as well. I see a few of my relatives because they live right next to us as well. You know, we do not come to each other's places because everybody's busy. So Friday, ladies and gentlemen, is mini Eid. We hope that you're actually going to celebrate this Eid as well, and make sure to pray to Allah Almighty for all of us, our entire team, and all of those guests who appear on our shows. But today, Shiza, I wanted to start this day on a very different note, and it's because of the fact that half of the time, whatever we're doing it to make ourselves happy. You know, if I am coming to the show, obviously by towards the end, I'm going to get a few people are going to recognize me, and then, you know, I'll be getting paid, and then, you know, I'll be absolutely perfect with paying bills, school fees, or whatever it is. So towards the end of the day, it makes me happy to work. You know, that's why I'm working. So I have actually jotted down 5 rules how to be happy. But first things first, I want to know from you what makes you happy and what does not makes you happy.
A lot of things make me happy. A lot of things inspire me, and drawing inspiration from, well, things around me does make me happy.
Yeah.
What doesn't make me happy? I think, again, the list is so long, I cannot remember. But I would actually like you to enlighten me, because I know that you have this approach towards life. And, well, you know, sort of standing tall in the face of any adversity that is thrown to you. And to have the courage to actually still be standing in that is a part of happiness that I want to define, because that will be satisfaction. And satisfaction is happiness eventually,
Wow, that's
right?
wonderful. You know, that was I was actually asking Shiza whether, you know, what makes her happy and what does not, but she was so politically correct that she kind of threw it back to me and be like, hey, you know what, you know, satisfaction kind of makes us happy. Obviously,
Right.
it does. You know, being contented, you know, having to kind of say thank you to Allah Almighty every single day,
Absolutely.
having that gratitude is a part of it. But then, ladies and gentlemen, there are these 5 amazing points which I've jotted down. They're written on my cell phone, so I'm going to read them out as well. 5 rules of happiness. Number 1, don't hate.
Oh,
You know,
of course.
just don't hate anybody.
Of
Even
course.
if, you know, there are people, you know, right in front of your face and you know that they have not done good to you, make sure that you do not talk to them, but please don't hate.
Yeah.
You know, moving on, don't compare. You know, half of the problems within our communities or societies is because of the fact that we compare quite a lot. Oh, uske paas to itni badi gaadi hai.
Also because
Oh,
of social media now, right?
I mean, even if it's social media, by the end of the day, it's your life here. You know, live your life.
I mean, I
Focus.
don't think isse pehle people used to do. Would people compare? I mean, in our parents' time,
I mean,
simpler times,
in our
right?
parents' time, you know, nobody had anything. You know, that's what the
Aw.
problem was. You know, everybody was as simple as our parents were. You know, so there
Cute.
was this equilibrium. Even if there's no equilibrium, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you guys don't compare. And then number 3, don't worry. And as Muslims, I think that, you know, we have the biggest gift, and that is that Alhamdulillah, Allah every time tells you in Quran, hey, you know, have faith. Hey, have faith, have faith. And it is so relaxing to kind of know that, you know, Allah is actually out there watching for all of us, and all we need to do is kind of spread our hands, pray from Allah Almighty, hey Allah Mia, please yaar, ye mera masla dekh lena yaar. You know, so, you know, just make sure to be there. Then number 4, I think this is one of the most important ones, and this is don't expect. And this is something which I've learned
The
in my
hardest,
life
है ना?
the hard way as well, and that is that, once you start to do something out of love for somebody else, and if they do not reciprocate the same way, that's where you like, okay, yaar, maine itna kuch kiya iske liye.
इसको
And
भी
this
करना
whole
चाहिए.
reason why I'm actually explaining it in Urdu is because a lot of people out there will understand this as well in Urdu. And so the problem is, so I've been doing a lot of stuff, for example, whatever with your friends and whatnot. So please make sure that whenever you're walking an extra mile for anybody out there, please make sure that the very moment you're about to take the first step to walk an extra mile for somebody, make sure that you know this in your head that, hey, you know what, even if tomorrow, or day after tomorrow, or year after, I'm not going to ask him for help,
Absolutely.
and I'm not going to expect it from him as well.
Absolutely.
Number 5, don't complain.
Well, that is brilliant, and I feel like just listening to these are very simple things, and they are also natural. So if you react this way, it's all right. But now you can identify that you should not. So I
Exactly.
think of all the other things, I'm able to do most of them except for don't worry.
Don't worry.
And well, things
don't
get
hate.
to you. No, oh my God, you're so mean.
I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry.
Right, but things get to you. I mean, when you're living in an environment or a society generally, we are such a society, Shazad, we are collectivistic, right? If something happens to one person, it bothers all of us, especially in that very setting. And I think this was just yesterday, you and I were discussing how, so we both live in the same sector, a beautiful part of the capital. Unfortunately, 2 days back, there was an unexpected flooding there. And we were just discussing how, alhamdulillah, we were sort of safe. Allah did help us in a way that we were not, we didn't lose
Disturbed
anything.
by it, yeah.
We weren't bothered by it. But at the same time, we were really, really worried about everyone in our sector because there are people from all classes there, Shazad. And I mean, people living in all sorts of settings, ranging from basti or ranging from, well, kachi zameen to buildings, apartments, penthouses for that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is something I think we really wanted to discover more and learn how it happened and how to avoid it.
Exactly. And before we do that, for all of those family and friends, all over Pakistan or even abroad, as soon as the video went viral and as soon as the news channel started to cover the report as well, so imagine that I almost in one day got 100 or 150 calls. But every time somebody called and asked me that, hey, you know what, are you guys okay? Is your family okay? I felt so bad for the people who weren't really okay because of the catastrophe which just took place. And imagine, there were 2 beautiful souls who lost their lives as well. There was property damage. There was a lot of damage caused, ladies and gentlemen. And what we really need to do is we need to understand what caused this damage. Was it man-made? Was it climate change? What were the problems, or were the problems existing already? And all of a sudden we see this, but then there's conflict. So the government spokesperson says that, okay, it was a cloudburst. If it was a cloudburst, that's very understandable. But then, God forbid, if it wasn't a cloudburst and it was because of the people living over there, or it was because of the people who have actually given, permissions to people to construct homes, buildings, or encroach different areas, we really need to figure that out. We need to understand it as well, so that in days to come, we shouldn't be losing any beautiful soul, and that there shouldn't be any loss to anybody out there as well, and that everybody stays safe and happy. We have a small report for you guys. Please go ahead, take a look, and once you guys will come back, we have the perfect guest to kind of speak about it as well. So please go ahead. Good morning.
The rains that started on Wednesday left several roads and low-lying areas in Islamabad and Rawalpindi inundated, creating an emergency situation for residents of the Twin Cities. Reacting to the news of flooding, Prime Minister Imran Khan cautioned citizens to take special care during the heavy monsoon rains. He also directed National Disaster Management Authority and all emergency response services to stay on high alert with ready and rapid emergency response actions. In various parts of Islamabad, record-breaking rains were witnessed in the suburbs of Saidpur village and Goloda Sharif, which received 128 mm and 106 mm rain respectively. Environmentalists said that urban flooding in Islamabad is a warning to take swift action and prevent disaster. Flooding due to unprecedented rainfall is due to climate change, and it is happening around the globe. But what makes South Asian countries more vulnerable is the lack of preparation, encroachment on both sides of roads, and absence of urban planning.
Well, yes, this was the scenario, in fact, 2 days ago, and just to sort of paint a clearer picture of what was happening on ground as well,
Yeah.
because this area right in front of where we live, until last night, late night, around 2 a.m., there were big cranes and machines literally helping out people with their plazas, with their shops and whatnot, because eventually there was waterlogging, Shazad, because people just didn't know how to manage the water that stood there. It even went underground. There were, at one place, there was a sinkhole created as well. I mean, among other things, this is something we need to discuss. So, like Shazad mentioned, we have this very apt panel of guests over here who we actually need to ask a lot of questions on behalf of you all so that we can all understand better. So, without any further ado, Shazad,
Yeah,
if you
without
please
any
may.
further ado, ladies and gentlemen, so what we have done is that we have divided our conversation into 3 parts, where in the first phase, we will be understanding what have actually caused all of this havoc as well, or a natural calamity. Number 2, we want to discuss about climate change and whether it has had an impact or not. Number 3, we want to come down towards solutions as well. I mean, for example, if people are saying that, there's a lot of encroachment, there's a lot of construction, a lot of people have been kind of dumping their debris into the nallas as well. We need to talk about that. What will be the solutions, and can we recover from what we have actually lost? I mean, that's something which we really need to talk about. So, very quickly, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the Central Secretary Planning PTI. I believe that he's the one who's responsible for all of the conversation today as well, ladies and gentlemen. He is Dr. Shahid Zia. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam.
So, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for taking our time for the program.
It's so good to be with you.
Jazakallah, sir.
It's
Thank you
very
very much.
important.
So, alongside Dr. Shahid, ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by a community welfare activist. The best part, he actually resides in E11, so he knows a lot of problems as well, what happened in E11. But not just E11, ladies and gentlemen, there were other areas which were affected by the rain as well, maybe the 9th Avenue, the other roads, Magla Town, Ghori Town, and the Rawal Dam spillways have actually been opened as well. So, big shout out to all our armed forces as well, and all of those personnel who were actually out there kind of watching out for us as well, that God forbid if something goes wrong, so that they can rescue people as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this community welfare activist is Mr. Tasadduq Malik. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you very much for invite. It was very energetic intro by you, both of you. So next time I would like to see in the morning so that I am charged for the whole day.
Thank you very much, sir.
Perfect.
That's
Thank
a
you.
wonderful compliment, which is why we are not going to ask you any hard questions.
Okay.
Yes. And alongside Tasadduq Malik sahab, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody. I mean, the conversation is going to be very lovely with him, because he's the man of facts and figures, and he's going to be telling us that, okay, that these can be the reasons, these may be the reasons, and these are literally not the reasons. So, today we're actually going to be very focused on it as well. He actually happens to be the Director Governance and Policy, WWF Pakistan. He is Dr. Imran Khalid Sahab. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Wonderful to be here with you.
Our pleasure.
Thank
And
you.
it's likewise. Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. So, first things first, I think we'll get the conversation started with Tasadduq Malik Sahab.
Okay.
So, Malik Sahab, since you happen to be a community welfare activist and you are a resident of E11, we are primarily focusing on it as well. We know, as we are all the residents of E11 as well, that there are a lot of problems, that, there might be electricity for a few hours, and then there might not be electricity for a lot of days as well. Then, there are other sewerage problems within that sector. I don't know, the CDA does not recognize it as a sector. There are a lot of different problems which we kind of come across every single day in E11. Yet it is one of the most beautiful sectors in Islamabad. While you're working,
I know.
while you're actually going towards your home, you see the Magla Hills, and you're like, man, thank God, Allah, kya baat hai.
It's worth it.
But sir, what are the problems which have actually caused all of this havoc?
Yeah, absolutely. You are right that it's a beautiful place to live actually.
Yeah.
So I am receiving telephone calls from everybody like I am living in some sort of slums and all that kind of a thing, that Sadduq, please move out of this place, because they have seen the videos. Of course,
Exactly.
the videos are horrifying. It is a beautiful sector, no doubt about it. The only thing is the poor governance has made it in the situation which is right now. We as volunteers for last, I think, 6-7 years, we've been struggling, we've been fighting, because to fill the gap where the authorities are not performing in that sector. And we've been pointing out to everybody, not only CDA, the private societies who are operating, that there are a lot of anomalies, there are a lot of issues which are related to encroachment also. And we have no graveyard rights, burial rights available in Islamabad. The non-conforming use, the recent issue which has highlighted the sexual assault issue, which has highlighted E11 all over, and we were all ashamed actually, because we were receiving the calls from everybody that what is happening in your sector. So all these issues we have highlighted to the authorities.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, yeah. So we have highlighted all these issues not only to the CDA but also to our minister, who is Mr. Asad Umar. I am also from the corporate sector, and he is a corporate professional. So we are basically trained to multitask ourselves. So if he is taking a bigger responsibility at national level, this doesn't mean that he has to ignore his constituents. So he has been ignoring his constituents. We have written him dozens of letters. We have requested him that these issues are there. The societies, the private societies are not properly handling, and they will become a disaster one day. And that is what is happening right now. I mean, you are living in E11, and you witness that every day there is a power failure.
Exactly.
And that is because of the poor infrastructure over there. And we and ASCO and the society over there, they are fighting right now that it is the issue
Of
they
that
have to
society,
pay.
the issue of
Yeah,
that society.
that is that society. And who are the sufferers? The residents are the sufferers.
Exactly, and it's
So, yeah.
it is always a blame game. And since, sir, you were talking about it, I think that today, we're on the right platform to talk about it as well. I'm sorry, but I'll have to say that National Police Foundation, you've done, it has been a miserable failure on your behalf. You were supposed to look after the people who were residing within the National Police Foundation, but every time somebody is going to go to your office, you'll be like, hey, you know what, sir, ISCO needs to do that, they need to do that, and what not. We, ladies and gentlemen, actually have to, please go ahead.
All right. Yeah, we need to go to a short break, but I would rather actually go out on a break with a question to Dr. Shahid. Since we have sort of painted a picture of anyone who did not know what happened, and now we have even more sort of grievances from the residents over there. Could you explain to the audiences why actually, E11 is what it is, or who does it fall under? Because let me tell you, when the calamity did happen 2 days back, there was swift response. There were authorities right at the spot. There were rescue cars going on throughout the day. So who does it fall under?
Basically, Capital Development Authority is responsible for the whole capital. But for the services, normally the concerned housing societies provide the services. But if something happens like of this scale, the societies cannot do that. So it is a CDA and the other departments, NDMA and others, they are moved, particularly Army even were called.
Yeah.
The kind of this kind of disasters within 3 hours, 13 inches of rain can
Sir, I'm
do
very sorry to
anything.
stop you over here, but we actually have to rush out towards a short break. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
बड़ी रेजिस्टेंस है, लोगों को हर किस्म के बहाने भी आते हैं कि ये ना करें वो ना करें, लेकिन हम समझते हैं कि जब इतने सारे लोग जो हैं वो बीमार हो रहे हैं और अपनी जानों से हाथ धो बैठेंगे तो इस सूरत में कोई और चॉइस नहीं थी। तो इसलिए समझते हैं कि वो ऑटो डिस्ट्रक्ट सिरिंजेस जो हैं उसके ज़रिए कम से कम जो ये सेफ़ इंजेक्शन प्रैक्टिसेस हैं इसमें कुछ बेहतरी आएगी। एक तो ये चीज़ होगी। अच्छा, दूसरा है इलाज। एक ज़माना था कि इस बीमारी का इलाज जो है वो इतना महंगा था कि लोग सोच भी नहीं सकते थे। जब हम लोग मेरे ख्याल से जब आप और मैं मेडिकल स्टूडेंट होंगे तो हम वो इंटरफेरॉन की कीमत गिन के एक दफ़ा हम जस्ट देखने के लिए कि ये सोने से कितना ज़्यादा महंगी, यानी बेइंतहा महंगी थी, अक्सर लोग अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते। आज ये हाल है कि टीके की ज़रूरत नहीं, दवा आपने खानी है, सस्ती है निस्बतन और इंतहाई मौसर है। आपने सुनी फिगर कि यहाँ इस सेंटर में आपको 100% सक्सेस हासिल हुई, और अगर आप मुल्क भर में भी देखें, दुनिया भर में देखें तो 98-99%, 98-99% लोग जो हैं वो क्योर हो जाते हैं। लेकिन मसला ये है कि ये इलाज करने के लिए हमारे पास जिसको बोलते हैं नैरो विंडो ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी है, यानी एक मौका है, और जैसे लिखा है कि इसमें देर नहीं हो सकती है। हेपेटाइटिस कांट वेट, इसका मतलब है कि जितना हम देर करते रहेंगे, वो लोग जिनको हेपेटाइटिस की इन्फेक्शन है, वो लाखों लोग जिनका आपने जिक्र किया, उनकी बीमारी आहिस्ता आहिस्ता बढ़ती रहती है और वो जिगर के अंदर अपना जो इन्फ्लेमेशन है वो जारी रखते हैं और फिर वो ख़तरनाक सिचुएशन में पहुंच जाती है जिसको सिरोसिस बोलते हैं, खुदा न खास्ता कैंसर तक। अब इस सूरत हाल में जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स प्रोग्राम है, डॉक्टर हुमा आप जान को आपको खुशी होगी, वो हमने अप्रूव करवा लिया, हमें एग्री हो गई, लेकिन हमने अब उसकी फंडिंग लेनी है और इंश्योर करना है कि वो एक्चुअली चले। देखिए डॉक्टर साहबा ने बताया, मैं फिर से जिक्र कर देता हूँ कि इसका तरीक़ाकार है क्या। पहले तो पता चले कि किसको है, इसका मतलब है आपने डिटेक्ट करना है, फिर आपने कंफर्म करना है कि एक्टिव इन्फेक्शन है जिसको PCR टेस्ट बोलते हैं, और फिर जो डिटेक्ट हो गए उनमें से तो तकरीबन 100% का इलाज होना चाहिए। तो इस वक्त लाखों लोगों का इलाज हो रहा है, लेकिन उससे कई गुना ज़्यादा इलाज होने की ज़रूरत है, तभी हम इस मामले में इस दौड़ में आगे निकल सकते हैं। हमारा ये जो ख़ित्ता है WHO के हिसाब से जिसको एमरो रीजन बोलते हैं, उसमें बेशतर जो केस थे वो आ रहे थे मिस्र से, इजिप्ट से और पाकिस्तान से। मिस्र वालों ने तो अपना प्रोग्राम चला के और अपने हेपेटाइटिस के अदाद शुमार को बहुत वाज़ेह तरीके से नीचे कर लिया। अब ये चैलेंज हमारे पास रह गया, तो हमारे पास ये तमाम जो चैलेंजेस हैं इंशाल्लाह इनको हम मीट भी करेंगे और इनको सॉर्ट आउट करेंगे, इनका मुकाबला करेंगे। आपने देखा कि पोलियो में भी अनफॉर्चुनेटली पाकिस्तान उन मुल्कों में है जहाँ केसेस बाकी रह गए हैं, अफ़गानिस्तान और पाकिस्तान। लेकिन आपने ये एक दो दिनों पहले ये अच्छी खबर भी सुनी कि 6 माह गुजर गए हैं और अभी तक ये पहली दफ़ा हुआ कि 6 माह गुजरे हैं और एक भी केस डिटेक्ट नहीं हुआ। तो ये एफ़र्ट से हुआ, ये आपकी काविशों से हो हमारे हेल्थ सिस्टम की। और इसी तरह जैसे आपने यहाँ ये एफ़र्ट शुरू किया, आप देखेंगे इंशाल्लाह कि ये जो आपने पौधा लगाया था, शुरू में पौधा छोटा ही होता है, लेकिन जब एक दफ़ा ज़ोर पकड़ जाए तो फिर वो दरख्त बन जाता है, तनावर। तो आपकी इस काविश और कोशिश का मैं ख़ास तौर पर शुक्रगुज़ार हूँ। डॉक्टर साहब आपका भी, आपसे मेरी मुलाकात भी यहाँ हुई थी जब, और वो तमाम लोग जो इस प्रोजेक्ट में शामिल हैं, और प्लीज़ अपनी सपोर्ट इसमें जारी रखिए। इसके लिए जो पैसे मुख्तस करवाने हैं वो मेरी ज़िम्मेदारी है, वो मैं वज़ीर-ए-आज़म से रिक्वेस्ट करके हम इंश्योर कराएंगे, लेकिन इस प्रोग्राम को हमने सक्सेसफुल बनाना है। आपकी तवज्जो का शुक्रिया और इस मौके का, इस तकरीब का इनेकाद करने का भी शुक्रिया, बहुत शुक्रिया।
All right, ladies and gentlemen, very warm welcome after a very brief break as well. We hope everybody's doing great and everybody's ready to kind of cope up with whatever goals they have for today and for the rest of their lives. But ladies and gentlemen, since Dr. Shahid Saab was actually talking about what Shiza asked, so I'm going to go back to him and let's see and give him this opportunity to kind of complete what he wanted to share. Sir, please.
What I was trying to say that this kind of cloud burst and heavy rains come every year or every other year. But what we are talking about is the flaws in the planning. We have to plan. We know we are having a beautiful city in the foothills, but we need to plan accordingly. And we were quite happy with the all rains of Islamabad under the capital CDA. Most of the time the heavy rains 2001 even 24-inch of rain in 10 hours, these drains took all the water to the poor Rawalpindi citizens living around the Lai. But that every year we were talking about that next year we will solve it. We never did anything. Couple of things that other countries have done is that they restrict or contain the spread. They see the sides of these nalas, they develop in a way that if water comes out, it will not spread too much into the living residential areas and come back to the drain again. And sometimes if they feel there is a serious danger of the floods, they develop sort of diversions. So when we plan the sectors in the foothills, we need to see the natural drains and then see where we need some kind of divergence. Particularly, I would like to talk about that we need to save this water. In this city, we are facing serious shortages of water, and now we are facing floods. We have no infrastructure to help recharge the underground water. We used to talk about Quetta, that water is going in meters by meters underground water. Now in Islamabad, in many sectors, the water has gone to 600 feet, 500 feet, 600 feet, and it also happened due to the mismanagement of the housing societies.
Absolutely.
Like in G13, 14 people, they always come out on now even on the Kashmir highways to tell that this foundation, the federal employees, government employees housing society, failed to provide the residents the water. So if you are not giving them even connections, every household is drilling. Water is going down, and when water has already at a 500 feet, and a beautiful piece of planning, I would say, they are putting high-rising buildings in that sector.
Exactly, and you know that's
how are you going to provide water to those residents?
So that's one of the very persistent issues in NPF as well.
Yeah, coming back to this, in this type of areas where E11 and we should have done serious EIAs, because in 2005 earthquake, the fault line is around here somewhere. So we need to see even that, keeping in mind in that also. It can happen anytime again. We didn't give the water way, the natural way that was already there. We tried to mess with that.
We built houses
with debris, with
so we are going to come back to this point as well, and I'm going to come back to where I was talking about all of these societies being in place in E11 as well, but I want to move on to Dr. Imran. So Dr. Imran Sahab, we've had a version of Dr. Shahid Sahab as well of what happened, then we've had a version of Sadaq Malik Sahab as well. What's your version of what actually happened? What went down?
I think I agree with them. It's mainly a governance issue.
Okay.
It's a planning issue.
So it's not a cloudburst.
No, it's definitely not a cloudburst, because I'll go with what the PMD has said, right?
Okay.
So they're the experts there, and they've said that it wasn't a cloudburst. There was rain forecast for well in advance, perhaps even 5 days.
For the entire week, though.
Yes. So and this is monsoons, right? So we know about this. E11 is a relevantly new sector. So when the 2001 floods happened, this wasn't there, and the water was able to flow in its natural realm, in the natural streams, and then it could go wherever. But now construction is happening. There is development happening in what is essentially the drainage area of the Margala Hills. And when you do that and you constrict the waterways, water is going to come out and go where it wants. So there's a professor, his name is Gilbert White. He's a geographer. He said, very famously, he said that floods are maybe acts of God, but flood losses are largely acts of man. And so that's what we need to think about. So we can talk about climate change and we can talk about other things that are happening, but we really need to understand why is it happening, and then that's why we need to focus on what the authorities are doing. Why is it that we're dumping our waste into these natural streams? So I went to this area and I saw that this particular section which got flooded was at the confluence of two different major streams,
Okay.
right? And in one of the stream beds, that had become a solid waste disposal site because Islamabad does not have a technical landfill.
Exactly.
Now, when you have a great amount of rain that's coming in, it has to go somewhere. But if the area is blocked by plastic bags and solid waste, it will tend to stop. And then on top of that, we've got runoff from the concrete structures that are happening. And so there are no green spaces as we develop. And so all of these things kind of contribute to what is happening. So for the future, we really need to think about how we need to plan the other housing estates and the rest of the area that come under the ICT. Otherwise, we'll continue to face these problems.
Definitely. But gentlemen, would it be right if I said that we have established so far that this particular incident was bad planning and mismanagement rather than
Man-made.
climate change? No, I'm talking, climate change. Is there any part of climate change that we should be worried about in terms of urban flooding? Because like all three of you did mention, it will happen again next year and next year. God forbid, but it will, right?
It has been
Yeah.
happening.
Let's begin with you, sir.
Yeah, this very phenomena was basically man-made disaster.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
And now
So
it's
we
universal.
cannot just blame it to climate change and all that kind of stuff because the nalas are encroached, there are proper roads are developed on that, and the narrow L-shaped bending is being given to that. So it's a poor planning, poor engineering, and it is being approved by CDA. And now the debate is going on whether it is approved by CDA or not. And that's very easy for them to wriggle out of the situation.
Obviously.
Because they say
हमने
LOP
तो
not
किया ही था
approved,
जी।
right? If you go to CDA website, they say this society LOP not approved because they can stand any time and say we have not approved it.
Yeah.
But why they have given people to allow the construction over there? Why people
my
are living over there? Why commercial areas are over there? Why they're collecting taxes from there?
4-story houses, 3-story houses, there's no rule over there.
Everything is going on normal, but go to CDA website, it says LOP not approved.
Not approved.
Right. So
absolutely.
if it is not approved, you are not allowed to stay in that society.
At least say that out loud.
And when it comes, interestingly, when it comes to applying for the meters, these societies, I mean, they say the High Court order is that all illegal societies, you are not bound to give them the meters or the electricity connection or utility connections. So all kind of nonsense is going on over there. Because CDA, when I have met CDA officials and they say, you are in a private society, so go to them. They are the regulators.
And this
And
is
when
the
I talk to
most
my
blank
PTI friends, I am a supporter of PTI. I'm a strong supporter of PTI. But when I go to them, they say, हो जाएगा, कर लेंगे, 3 साल हो गए, 3 years already passed.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to start opening up things and see the affairs of these societies, that what are they doing, what kind of money they are spending on the development and infrastructure of these societies. Unfortunately, these things are to be digged out because we wanted the change, and the change is that things to be rectified properly. And we have to given the right to live in a decent manner in a center of Islamabad, unfortunately.
And sir, since you mentioned about the meters as well, so imagine, just a few days ago, one of my friends called me, so they've actually constructed a new house. And he calls me and he was like, do you know anybody in CD? And I was like, why, what happened? He was like, we had a meter to ourselves, but now they came and they were like, okay sir, this meter was given to somebody else who was Mr. Rizwan, and we accidentally gave it to you, so now we're taking it back as well. So things like that do happen. But sir, now coming back, I think what we have done is, major part of the conversation was about what actually happened. Now we figured it out. Let's move down to solution as well, because whenever we are building a society, or all of these businessmen, giants with a lot of money, they stuff everybody's mouth with money as well.
Shahzad, I want to add,
I'm going to come back.
I want to
We
add
need to
something.
give fair chance to everybody.
Yeah.
So they stuff everybody's mouth with money as well, and they get their way through. Now, because whenever we talk about such society buildings as well, there's this EPI which is in place, and everybody needs to go through that. How can anybody surpass that? And now, even if we have surpassed that, okay, what solutions can we come up with?
I think we first we need to sit in and see where we have gone wrong. There are several people living in the areas controlled by these housing societies. They are struggling that CDA should take these sectors back.
Exactly.
I'm also for that kind of, I agree with them. because they have failed to manage. This is the compact area of Islamabad. If they need to be allocated with some lands, they should be given in 16, 17, 18. There are several areas that they can go in and build. These societies, even they have built, there should be some planning to going it back to the CDA, so that we can have a proper planning. Second, no society or even the regular sector should be built without having a serious EIA of the area. Underground water, how that will be water recharging facilities, several here and there within the city. If we have that much water and then we have some storage facilities somewhere, we have had a better sort of management of the water. Management of underground water, management of the drainages, and management of the drinking water, and then giving plans for housing accordingly. Not like in energy 13, 14 people are crying for water, we are adding more multi-story and then high-rising buildings in that.
Yeah.
That is a sort of classic failure of our planning. So there should be a comprehensive plan of water management of the city.
Yes.
Second,
But sir, it's a classic failure on our part, you know, but it's a classic kind of a deal by somebody who actually is kind of building that building as well,
yes,
you know.
Yes, I mean, I'm happy that resident societies are raising their voice. This is the beauty of democracy.
True.
We should strengthen it. We should give people chance to talk about their problems. Unfortunately, we are restricting it.
Yeah.
We are not ready to listen to the people's voices. If people are suffering, they are telling their problems. It helps the relevant departments to improve.
True.
If they are not improving, the government and the civil society should put pressure on those whether it's the CDA or any other sort of. Even I'm happy that he is talking about the representative of that area, Asad Umar. He is claiming he has done in several other areas also. But if there is some problem, serious problem in one area, you have to focus on and then provide resources to save people's lives and then the properties.
Yeah, and he's been busy with the NCOC as well, you know, so he already has a lot on his plate as well. But
that's no
want to, yeah, obviously that's not reason as well. But you know, within the corporate life, I think Asad Umar has always achieved quite a lot as well, and he's doing wonderfully well in NCOC as well.
I know he's planning several things he's working on.
Alhamdulillah.
But when people are suffering, they have the right to
kind of come and save them as well.
Definitely.
Now, Dr. Imran Sahib, I'm going to come back to you as well. You know, we had a warning on the Eid day as well. You know, there was such an urban flooding on the first day of Eid as well, and nobody took it very seriously. You know, everybody thought that, okay, you know what, it was rain, you know, and everything going to be fine. You know, for a country like Pakistan, which is water scarce, you know, our Prime Minister always kind of emphasized on how we really need to have dams. And 3 years down the line, you know, we have really not been able to do quite a lot about it. You know, for a country which is water scarce, witnessing flooding every single year, but is not being able to preserve the water or all of these natural resources as well. What do you think needs to be done so that, okay, one, we're going to get rid of the floods as well. Number two, we will not be water scarce anymore, and that everybody will have safe water to drink as well and to use it for themselves. What are we doing on that part?
So I'm going to connect your question with Shehzad's earlier regarding climate change.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
we're on the same page.
So let me start by answering your question on climate change. So climate change is definitely happening. Temperatures have risen about 1 degree centigrade since
1.5.
the 1850.
Yeah.
It's so temperatures have warmed up. So when there's warming of temperature that is happening, that's going to affect the hydrological cycle. So when you have the rains or the monsoons, they'll be more intense.
Yeah.
So we expect that. We expect that this will continue. We'll have monsoons going up to KP even. We'll have more episodes that will be labeled cloudburst or whatever. But this is going to
God
continue, so we need to plan ahead for this.
Okay.
Secondly, as to your question, I would say we are water stressed rather than water scarce.
Okay.
If we were water scarce, we would not have the number of golf courses. We would not have, you know, the housing estates and the washing of cars. We are definitely not water scarce.
not
We are
the one
water
who goes to the
stressed
golf
because
club,
it's an equity and justice issue.
Yeah.
Some people have lots of water. They can drill into the groundwater and acquire it.
Definitely.
Others who do not have it cannot even afford to have enough water to wash their face. So this is where we are at. So we need to address that equity and justice issue, and our dams do not do that. And finally, I'd like to just echo what Dr. Saab has said regarding our city planning. So environmental impact assessment is a tool that we can utilize, but it's become quote unquote khana puri. We just do it because it's there, and then it gets stamped and it's approved.
Yeah.
But we really need to go back down to the roots and understand why we are developing. So if the development benefits me and if it's affecting you, then is it really development? Think of the watershed here as the veins running in your body. If a vein gets clogged, your heart is going to suffer. Similarly, if one of the streams, even one of the streams gets blocked, it's going to affect the rest of the urban areas, and that's what we really need to think at. So we need a big picture. We need to move out of the E11. E11 is important right now, but just that's going to allow us to think about the whole
Which is why we started from 2001.
Right.
Yeah.
And we know for a fact that we're going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely, and you very rightly did say all of these things, and where you said that we are not water scarce, that is, it reminds me of a story. So this was few days back. Imagine, so I used to study in Nust, and I know right next to HH13, major water issue, along with water, thousands of other issues. So they are digging, I think fretting is the right word for, anyway, so they're digging to find water, and Shahzad, they come across oil instead of water. So imagine, did you read the story? Imagine in H13 you can come across oil and not water.
And then they were selling that oil too as well, and you know that the government went over there, officials went over there, and then they were like, hey, you know what, it belongs to us, so you probably stop selling as well.
So Islamabad is going to be rich.
But sir, towards the end, we only have last 5 minutes as well. So Tasadduq Sahab, I'm going to come down to you. It has been on many occasions that I've actually went to NPF's office as well. I mean, since we are talking about societies and which ones to be blamed, I think I'm going to appreciate the work done by multi-professionals. They've always been very well managed, very well planned, very well delivered as well, parks and everything, good roads, the infrastructure is very well. But moving down, towards the right side where we were talking about 11, your point was very valid that we really need to see a bigger picture, because if one of the arteries is going to be blocked, it's going to have a major impact. But sir, there's one thing which I do not understand, and that is that all of these government officials, all of these government institutes which we go to, all of these people are there to serve us. Unfortunately, whenever we go over there, it feels like as if we are there to serve them rather than them serving us. And that's me being so honest that imagine that every time we go there with a problem, they're going to actually ask for so many things that sir, ye bhi leke aaye, ye bhi leke aaye, ye bhi leke aaye, ye jurmana jama kara dein, ye NDC de dein, fulana de dein, fulana de dein. It looks like as if they are there and they think that they're supposed to be there as well in the first place. What can be done about this culture? I in fact want to change this culture where all of those government employees think that they are there to serve us rather than us being their servants. Please.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Your observation is correct, because the problem is that over the years the mindset has developed that they are the rulers, right, and we are the riaya of them. So riaya has to come hands like this, and then they have to beg that please give us this utility, that utility, or we are suffering this and that. So that is why they treat us accordingly. The mindset needs to be changed. That is where we need a change actually. So this mindset this approach has to trickle down from top to bottom, so that the message is very clear to these bureaucrats or these sarkari babus that you are there to serve the people, not there to rule the people. So they are the servants, they are not the rulers, but they are presently treating us as they are rulers. So the thing is that that's why the more civil society is activated and the more pressure is developed through the media and people like you who are doing these kind of programs, so highlight the issues, and then let's wait that the mindset is going to change. And this is a struggle which the entire nation has to take.
But sir, there's another part of my observation, and that is that if, for example, you actually have to go to a corporate office, You go over there, they will welcome you very well, they'll ask you for a cup of tea, they will make you sit down, they'll ask you for your ID cards, for all the documents, they'll call a person, they'll be like, hey, you know what, get the photocopies done, get everything done, serve sir tea over here, and see, you know, the corporate sector is actually booming, and you know, where's the government sector? So imagine where people are actually behaving very rightly, that sector is actually booming as well. So towards the end, I'm going to come down to Dr. Shahid Saab. Sir, obviously there are challenges, there are reservations, there are a lot of problems, and not everybody is on the same page in one office as well. You know, so there might be a lot of challenges which you might be facing within the planning division of PTI as well. So what can you promise for us, and what can we do for you?
I think
Public-private partnership.
PTI as a party and in the government, they are struggling, doing real efforts to improve the governance system. So that much I can promise, that they are concerned about the people you are talking about, who have never been listened before, and then they are trying to take care of those people and then their needs. But coming back to the Islamabad issues, I think as you say, in corporate sector is serving better. What we are seeing in housing, in case of housing societies, is different. We are struggling to go back to CDA instead of staying with them, as they are more sort of bureaucratic behavior. They know they are not supplying water, and now tanker mafia is developing in Islamabad. They started with 200, 300 rupees or 500 rupees a tanker. Now it's just they are talking about 3,000 something.
Exactly.
And that is, and there is no sort of institution where you can go and complain about them.
Exactly, and this is exactly what happened in Karachi.
As he is mentioning, that even courts are not listening, go back to those societies.
Exactly.
So we need institutional sort of mechanisms, so that they can also be made responsible for these things. They should not be allowed to freely mess around with the water and all other issues. And I encourage that the peoples of Islamabad, because that is more sort of educated city of Pakistan, civil society become more active, and Islamabad Residents Forum, there are other people are talking about that, so that we should be joining and raise these issues.
People like the Sadaq Malak and people like Dr. Imran as well. But sir, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Wonderful to be in conversation. It was crisp, brief, but we hope and pray that everybody got the idea where we need to work, and from where onwards we really need to look after, because all of these things, ladies and gentlemen, we call them global commons. Please make sure to look after them.
Right, they are going to happen in the near future too, so let's be prepared for that. I hope this was educational and informative. And towards the end, one thing I do remember, people coming from, related to this government and saying that in terms of planning this city, which by the way, this is the most planned city of Pakistan already, okay?
Second best capital in the world.
Yeah, so they want to go up in the air, like you already were mentioning, high buildings, right? Skyscrapers, whatnot. Really? I mean, this is why we had to do this show, to actually understand before you go on with the other skyscrapers. Please make sure that you do sort of follow the things that you need to. And if you guys have any suggestions, or if you have seen any similar stories around you, in any part of Pakistan, we'd love to share your stories. Write to us to let us know on our Facebook page with the name of
Well This Morning.
On Twitter.
Well This Morning without a G.
We're on YouTube.
Yeah, Well This Morning.
Yes, and the repeat of this one you'll be able to catch at
5 past midnight. Till the next time, look after yourselves, and since it's Friday or any other day, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure to remember each and every one of us in your prayers as well. Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Thank you, sir.